Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 7. We will present about segmental and suprasegmental sounds. My name is Jasmine Octaviani Sasono.
My name is Hairunisa Fitrianti.
My name is Indah Muterasari.
And the first slide will be present by me, Jasmine Octaviani Sasono. The definition of segmental and suprasegmental sounds. The definition of segmental is, according to Measure 2008, the definition of segmental and suprasegmental can be said as follows, namely, a segmental sound means a sound that can be segmented or separated. Sounds produced by inhalation, speech apparatus, and vocal cords. There are four types of segmental sounds, namely, first is consonant, sounds obstructed by a speech instrument. Second is vowels, is sounds that are not obstructed by speech tools. And three is diphthong, two vowels read by one sound. For example, is A in a river, O in U. And four is cluster, two consonant read one sound. It can be concluded that the definition of segmental sounds is a divisible phoneme. For example, when we use language, the noun that is sounds read phoneme can be divided into three words, bahasa, or divided into smaller pitches so that they become B, H, A, H, S, A. Suprasegmental is a sound that cannot be segmented because the presence of these sounds always accompanies a phrase or accompanies a segmental sound. Suprasegmental sounds can be in the form of sound pressure, intonation, loud short pitch, and sound vibration that indicate certain emotion. The next is basic classification of segmental sounds. First is whether there is interference or not. Refers to as distributes is the condition or closure carried out by spoken device or air currents in the formation of sounds, judging from the presence or absence of interference when the sound is spoken. The sounds are grouped into two, namely, first is vocoid sounds. Vocoid sounds are sounds that are produced without involving a narrowing or closing of the articulation area. Example of vocal voice according to Daniel Jones are found in vowels. First is vocal E, you can say it vocal A. Second is vocal U, you can say it vocal O. And three is vocal A, you can say it vocal O. B is cotoid sounds. Cotoid sounds are sounds that are produced by B involving a narrowing or closing of the articulation area. Example are found in vowels M, N, and others. The second is air direction. Changing from the direction of the air when the sound is produced, the sounds are grouped into two, namely, A is aggressive sounds. Aggressive sounds, which is the sound that is produced from the direction of the air going out through the oral cavity or nasal cavity. B is aggressive sounds, which is the sound that is produced from the direction the air enters the lungs. The next is three vocal cords. Vocal cords is judging from whether the vocal cords vibrate when the sound is produced. The sounds can be grouped into two, namely, A, dead sounds or voiceless sounds, which is the sound produced by the vocal cords are not making an opening and closing movement, so that the vibration is not significant. Example, sound K, P, T, and S. B is left sounds or voice sound. Left sound or voice sound is which the sound produced by the vocal cords opening and closing rapidly so that they vibrate significantly. Example sounds is G, B, D, and Z. And four is lip shape. Lip shape is judging from the shape of the lips when the sound is pronounced. The sounds can be grouped into two, namely, A is round sound. Round sound is which is the sound that is produced by placing the lips in a round shape. B is non-round sound, which is the sound produced by the position of the lips evenly or not. The next slide from the Indah Mutiarasari.
Next, it is about suprasegmental sounds elements. Next slide. Suprasegmental sounds are sounds that accompany segmental sounds with several elements that accompany it. These elements are as follows. First, pressure or stress. The second is duration. The third is tone or speech. The fourth is join and pause. The fifth is accent, and the sixth is intonation. Next. The first is pressure or stress. The word stress in Indonesia is called tonotemporal, which is a type of prominence that is more marked by the pitch or temporal in nature, and the time span in which the stress syllable is pronounced or is temporal. And the second is duration, the length of time needed to utter a language sound, namely a vowel. The term is symbolized by a dot with a certain number which is placed behind the vowel phonemes. B, the sign is called mora. C, one dot or one mora. D, colon or two mora. E, the colon or three mora. Next. Third, tone or speech. The height and low of the speech sounds, this is due of the tension factor of the vocal cords, air currents, and the position of the vocal cords when the sound of pronouns. The tense, the vocal cords are caused by the increase in airflow from the lungs. The higher the pitch of the sounds, the V sign represents a vowel segmental phoneme. A, V1 or low tone, B, V2 or medium tone, C, V3 or high pitch, D, V4 or very high pitch. Fourth is pause. Stop that mark the limit of the sentence intonation terminal. Types of pause. First, the final pause is the stop at the end of the sentence and marks the ending intonation. Second, non-final pause is a stop in the middle of a sentence which marks a certain pace. For example, teacher just arrived and new teacher is coming. Next. Fifth, intonation. The rise or fall of the tone in the pronunciation of the sentence. Intonation is a combination of tone, term, stress, and pause in an embodiment. Intonation can determine various sentences of declarative or news, interrogative or ask, and imperative or comment. For example, Elias became one. And if it is pronounced with a decreasing or increasing tone, it gives the meaning of a question. And however, if the word wins comes under pressure, it states a declarative sentence. And next slide will discuss by Hairunisa Fitrianti.
And the next short length duration of segmental and suprasegmental sounds. Segmental sounds can also be distinguished by their short length when they are pronounced. Long sounds for vocate are marked with the unit mora, which is the time unit for pronunciation with a period. A colon denotes a mora, a colon denotes two moras, and a colon denotes three moras. Meanwhile, the sounds for cotates are double marked with the term geminate. And the next, chair describe pause or joins with respect to stopping sounds in the speech stream. It is called a pause because of that stopping, and it is called a join because it is at the place of rest that the connection of two speech segments is signed. This pause can be full or temporary, usually distinguished by an inner join, internal juncture, and an outer join, open juncture. The inner join shows the boundary between one syllable and another. This inner join that from the syllable boundary is usually marked with a sign. Example, M plus Bill, Lake plus Sa plus Na, K, Li, La, Were. Silence falls in segmental, suprasegmental sounds. And the next characteristic of suprasegmental sounds, when accompaniment sound is an accompanying sound that appears when the main sound is produced. A adjective sound, the accompanying sound is produced by closing the glottis before and when the main sound is pronounced, so that when the glottis is opened, there is a global sound. B, the sound of aspiration, the accompanying sound that is produced by means of a current of air coming out of the mouth is too loud so that a KH sound is heard. Example, the sound P at the beginning of the example word, peace, is heard as a sound PH, so the word becomes space. And the next C, nasalization sound. The accompanying sound is produced by allowing air to flow through the nasal cavity before or for a moment, the articulation of the main sound, so that the accompanying sound M is heard.
And this is last from us. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.